Level 1, Field Worker. You are the bottom of the system. You sleep in a trailer with 7 other men. The mattresses smell like mold and sweat. Nobody uses real names. Nobody tells stories. You wake before sunrise and spend all day carrying soil bags, trimming leaves, mixing fertilizer, and dragging hoses through rows of plants that seem to multiply every time you look away. You make $200 a day in cash. At first, it feels like rescue. Then you realize the mountain has no off switch. Food comes up once a week in the back of the truck. You do not go into town. You do not call people whenever you want. You live where the plants live. The first thing you learn is that this place is built on rules, not loyalty. Never use a flashlight after dark. Never stand near the road. Never wave at hikers. Never write anything down. And if a helicopter appears overhead, you stop moving even if your back is breaking. Nobody explains why. Nobody needs to. You understand the truth by the end of the first month. The farm survives because it looks invisible from far away. You survive by doing the same. Level 2. Lookout. Someone finally trusts you with binoculars and sends you up to a ridge above the farm. Your job sounds easy. Watch the valley, watch the road, watch the sky. But sitting still for 10 hours teaches you a different kind of fear. Most days, nothing happens. The wind moves through the trees, dust rises from the highway, birds circle. Then one afternoon, a sheriff helicopter crawls along the canyon, and your heart starts hammering so hard it feels loud. You grab the radio and say 2 words, "Bird incoming." That is all it takes. Down below, workers disappear into tree cover. Tarps drop over the rows. Generators die. In under a minute, the farm becomes a patch of quiet land again. When the helicopter passes, nobody congratulates you. They just nod like you did what gravity does. Level 3, Irrigation Runner. Now you move between sites after dark. Pickup trucks crawl through mountain roads with headlights off until the last possible second. You load pumps, hose fittings, fuel cans, water filters, and fertilizer sacks. That is when the scale reveals itself. The farm where you started is not the operation. It is one nerve ending. One valley holds 5,000 plants. Another clearing has 4,000 more under netting. Another site sits beside a stream with a hidden pump system feeding rows you never see from the road. The mountain is full of farms stitched together by silence and supply runs. You stop thinking of this as agriculture. It becomes logistics. Water in, product out. Fuel in, trucks out. People moved like tools. At this level, your body gets stronger and your mind gets quieter. You start sleeping less. You stop asking how long you will do this. Temporary people count time. Permanent people count shipments. Level 4, Harvest Crew. This is where the money finally becomes visible. The mountain turns into a factory. Plants taller than your shoulders are cut down and carried into tarp tents strung with low work lights. The air gets thick with resin. Your fingers stay sticky no matter how hard you scrub them. 20 men sit elbow to elbow trimming branches into piles, piles into bags, bags into crates. Every crate will later be worth tens of thousands of dollars in a city you may never see. Your shift runs 14 hours some nights. Nobody complains because harvest is where the system bleeds cash upward. At the end of the season, the supervisor hands each worker an envelope. $5,000. You stare at it too long because nobody has ever paid you that much for one stretch of work. Then the math hits you. If they paid 20 men $5,000 each, someone above you just cleared $500,000 without touching a leaf. That is the moment the operation changes shape in your mind. It is no longer a hidden farm. It is a ladder. Level 5, Transport Driver. Now you are trusted with the road. This is the first level that feels like real adulthood and real danger at the same time. You drive ordinary trucks with ladders, tools, and bags of soil stacked on top. Under the tarps are sealed crates. One trip carries about 80 pounds. Street value by the time it reaches the city, roughly $300,000. Speed is suspicious. Nervous is suspicious. The safest driver in the world is the most boring man on the road. The first time a police cruiser pulls behind you, your shirt sticks to your back with sweat. You imagine every possible ending at once. Dogs, flashlights, handcuffs, mugshot, but you keep the wheel steady and stare forward until the cruiser exits at the next ramp. That is when you learn the fear at this level is not really law enforcement. It is disappointing the people above you. If the police take you, that is one problem. If you lose $300,000 that does not belong to you, that is another kind of problem entirely. Level 6. Site Enforcer. Now you stop moving product and start managing people. This is where your voice changes. New workers arrive every few weeks. Some are quiet, some are desperate. Some get sloppy once they see how much product passes through their hands. Some think they can skim a little and disappear.
That is when the supervisor stops calling you by your nickname and starts calling you because something needs to be fixed. Calm. Most problems never become violence. They become correction. A quiet talk behind the trailer. A warning on a dark road. A worker sent home before sunrise with no pay and no ride. But sometimes the mountain asks for a stronger lesson. One night you catch a guy stuffing trimmed buds into his backpack. He swears it is his first time. He says he has a sick mother. He says he was going to put it back. You walk him down the hill until the camp lights disappear behind the trees. By morning he is gone, and nobody asks where. The other workers keep their heads down all week. That is how you discover one of the ugliest truths in the system.
Fear is cheaper than loyalty and lasts longer. Level 7. Regional Coordinator. Now you manage multiple farms across multiple mountains. Fuel deliveries, food runs, payroll drops, harvest dates, weather risks, water shortages, replacement crews. Nearly 100 workers move according to decisions you make from a folding table covered in maps, burner phones, and handwritten codes nobody outside the network could read. You rarely touch the plants anymore. You touch schedules, you touch routes, you touch numbers. And the more numbers you see, the more the operation stops looking like crime and starts looking like a company. Every site has output targets. Every shipment has expected loss. Every worker has a cost. Every mistake has a price. Men above you speak in percentages and acreage and risk exposure the way executives talk about quarterlies. They do not smell like fertilizer. They smell like cologne and truck leather. That bothers you more than it should. Level 8. Supply Manager. Now the product flows through you after harvest. Hundreds of pounds at a time leave the mountains and disappear into warehouses, transport hubs, and legitimate-looking vehicles. You stop thinking in thousands. You think in 7-figure seasons. A bad week can cost $1 million. A raid on the wrong warehouse can ripple through 5 counties. At this level, your whole life becomes anticipation. Every unfamiliar car behind you matters. Every missed call matters. Every new voice on the phone matters. You sleep beside 2 phones and still wake up before they ring. The strange part is that power does not feel powerful. It feels administrative. You are not standing in fields anymore. You are in motel rooms, empty offices, back booths of restaurants, and parked SUVs with tinted windows, solving problems that cannot exist on paper. You start talking in shorter sentences. You trust fewer people. You stop laughing naturally. Pressure enters your bloodstream and never fully leaves. Level 9, Territory Operator. Now the entire region answers upward through you. Farms, routes, drivers, enforcers, safe houses, warehouses. You decide which ridges get planted next year and which sites get burned clean and abandoned. You decide who gets replaced and who gets another chance. You can clear $40,000 in a week and none of it touches your real name. That sounds like freedom from the outside. Inside, it feels like confinement. You go fewer places. You sit with your back to the walls. You memorize plate numbers without meaning to. You start seeing betrayal not as a possibility, but as a timing issue. This is also the level where you finally understand the system never wanted you rich. It wanted you invested. The money is not a reward, it is glue. Every dollar ties you tighter to decisions you cannot explain to normal people. You cannot date honestly. You cannot relax honestly. You cannot even leave cleanly because the knowledge in your head is worth more than the cash in your safe. Level 10, Plantation Owner. Now you are mostly invisible. Most workers have never seen your face. On paper, you run a landscaping and construction business with equipment, payroll, and enough invoices to look respectable. In reality, the mountains answer to a system you quietly own. Millions move through it every season. Trucks roll because you allow them to. Fields get planted because you approved them months earlier over coffee at a kitchen table that looks completely ordinary. You thought the top would feel mythic. You thought it would feel like victory. Instead, it feels small. Quiet house, quiet office, quiet meals eaten alone while burner phones charge in another room. You cannot brag, you cannot celebrate, you cannot even tell the truth to the people closest to you because the entire empire depends on one thing: silence. The system gave you money, reach, and control. Then it took away spontaneity, trust, and sleep. Ultimate power costs simple things first. Some nights you think back to that first field, mud on your boots, hose in your hands, a stranger telling you to water the north side before sunrise. You thought you were stepping into a job. What you were really stepping into was a closed ecosystem with its own rules, its own seasons, its own gravity. Every level changed what you did. Every level also changed what you could still feel.